And so I have the pleasure of introducing both Greg and Luis, who I think need no introduction, but they are going to be talking about building relationships. So I'm going to let them really talk about what they do. And I'm just going to share with you really quickly how I know them. I have had the pleasure with working with them as a Merced College employee. They both work for Merced County Office of Education. And I met Luis at another conference last year, I want to say, pre-COVID, definitely pre-COVID. We were sitting at the same conference table and didn't get to know him too much there. But when we hit lunchtime and we had to stand in line for our box lunches, we struck up a conversation and just have really gone from there, working on several different projects. Luis introduced me to Greg very shortly after. And so I know many of us have people that it's truly a pleasure to work with internally in our own organizations. And then we have teams and partnerships outside of our own organizations. And we have people that you wish they were for your organization, you want to steal them away. That's definitely Luis and Greg. They are reliable, they are team players, they're trustworthy, and they really are go-getters and they get things done. And so not only that, they're passionate about the work that they do and the community that we serve. And so I just find it very pleasurable working with them, and they're fun. I'm sure you're going to get a lot out of this presentation, because if it's on relationships, those two got it down. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Luis and Greg.
Awesome. That is so nice. And we did not actually pay her anything for that. So that's awesome. That's in my kind of, I'm going to keep that when I'm going on, like, you know, that kind of dropping down a little tired and whatnot. I'm going to be thinking of those things. So what we're going to actually do is a little bit differently. Greg and I were talking, we're like, yeah, we can go through this slide and just kind of introduce ourselves, but it's going to be better. I think it's a little bit cooler because we're talking about relationships to introduce one another. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to introduce Greg Friedman, who is our college and career service tech, and he actually works with the Merced County Office of Ed. So we both work for the same company in a sense, and he's our vice president for the Northern region for CPA. But one of the things, so I've worked with Greg, or I've met Greg maybe about 6 years ago, and we've worked a lot closer within the last maybe 5 or so years. But he actually comes from industry. He was working over 25 years with Marie Callender's in many capacities, starting from like busboy, you know, all the way up to a regional kitchen manager. And that's what I enjoy about our conversations when it comes to business relationships and workforce development and all that great stuff, because he's seen it from industry perspective. So I've always loved to kind of go back and forth with just what fun things he's seen, what are they looking for and whatnot. Fortunately, we got him into the education side, and he started working with the County Office of Ed, actually in one of our restaurants that the county owns with a special ed department. And so he's kind of worked in that area, and then he got into workforce services. Of course, he started working with grants in the special education department and subsidy. And now we scabbed him over into ed services, which I definitely wanted to advocate huge to bring him over to my department because I know he has so much energy, positive dude. And so I wanted to make sure that we utilize his skill set. So that's where he became, for the ROP side, kind of like our college and career service tech person. And I'm going to always advocate for him because he's my brother from another mother type thing. So that is my Greg Friedman, and somebody, like I said, it's not like we've known each other forever, but we're so entwined with each other that we went out to lunch earlier separately, of course, but we both ate McDonald's for fast food because so we're both bad, first of all, with food, but we're just like literally on the same pages. So Greg Friedman.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Autumn. I'm not as professional as Luis, so my goal right now is to see if I can make Luis blush by the end of this. I have to admit, I secretly have a man crush on Luis. My wife is jealous. I talk to him as much as I talk to her. My career is a role model to me, secretly, probably to others in our area. So Luis started with MCOE 17 years ago, spent the first 13 years in the special ed department. He started as a classroom aide, and he had an opportunity to become the vocational service specialist in charge of special ed department's ROP programs and 2 workforce grants. And I eventually took that position when he moved on. So he expanded that 30-year-old role to new levels in our community. He started his business and community outreach in that position. 4 years ago, he got to move over to working with adults with AIM, the local adult education network, as their workforce services and job developer. This is where Luis really hit his stride in building relationships with businesses and our community partners. He not only attends advisory meetings, but he started creating his own to bring everyone to the table and stop duplicating services in our area. So now we work smarter, not harder. He's closely tied himself to, and I think it's, in my opinion, invaluable to our local college and one-stops. He's constantly hosting classes, sending out newsletters, and marketing local workforce happenings with the education and business side of things. This year alone, he's spearheading the creation of 2 new workforce readiness classes at our community college and 2 new job fairs, one CTE related and one for migrant education. He's focused, he's driven, and he's always trying to improve things in our valley. The best part is he invites everyone along to participate in his endeavors. And I've been blessed to be his tag team buddy for all of this greatness the last 4 years. So how'd I do, Luis? Are you blushing yet?
I am blushing. I've gotten it from Autumn and I've gotten it from Greg. This is better than letters or Rex. So thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And now that we're done bragging about each other, because I don't want it to come off like too like slimy and whatnot, we'll get going with our presentation. But the idea of this is really our relationships, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But first, Greg.
Yep. So whenever Luis and I present, we have our norms and expectations. First one, you have to have fun. You're at a virtual conference right now, so enjoy your time. It's a CPA conference, so the best ones. Number 2, share your ideas. The only way Luis and I get better is by learning more, and you're experts in your own field. So please share with us, light up that chat. I know you all know how to use it, so fire away in there.
Agreed. Oop. I hit my arrow button. So the last one is ask questions, because I think that's the big part. Is sometimes I know in our community, we feel like we don't have a lot of other supportive people. Like we're like the one type person in that department, or maybe it's a couple of us, but we are a big community within CPA. So ask those questions away, even if it's not us answering the questions and someone else, Rosalinda, Denise, anybody, Autumn who sees it, and it's like, oh, I know how to answer that question. Please feel in. To us, this is not us giving you just information. This is all of us kind of working together because we're all pros in what we do and we all have our experiences. So, but when you do put a question in there, if you can, please put a hashtag. I want to bring back the old school hashtags, questions, and put it in caps. This way we can identify between, because we're also going to use the chat feature for some other feedback. But this way we know that it's a question. And then this way as a community, we can all answer it just in case we don't see it. Autumn, if you can help us for some reason that Greg and I do not see those questions, because I know I have like the screen up and then all the beautiful faces. So if we, for some reason, don't get to one of those and it's not answered, please let us know.
Yes, we'll do.
Awesome. Thank you.
So we're going to be talking about relationships, and it's all about teamwork. So I need to ask Rosalind if she can help us out. We would like to know who's in the room. This is live. We're going to tailor this. So real quick, if you can do the poll, what organization do you work for? If Luis and I missed anything on this list, you're an other. So real quick, let's do it. Let's see who's in the room, or the virtual room.
And there are 2 questions, so they do need to scroll down to view the second question. We can let them know.
Yeah, we'll hit the first one. Yeah. So
perfect. Thank you, Rosalinda.
Community
So
college.
we got some others. A lot of community college.
So yeah, right now we're looking at 55% community college, 10%
college,
high
yeah.
school,
Some
12%
county office. Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of public agencies.
Spectrum here.
I do. I like it. So diverse. So now I'm going to scroll to the next question, Greg, at the bottom with experience. Let me see what we can get there. So it looks like we do have a lot of actually people with more than 10 years experience. So that is really good. So we got some veterans in here. We have a little bit of less than 2 years. So we have 11 from that 2 to 4 year area. So hopefully we can get you guys some good information, ladies and gentlemen. And then 4 to 6 years. Yeah, kind of that mix in there.
Awesome. You want to hit that next slide, Luis?
Yes, sir.
It should be a good discussion. We got a lot of people with more than 10 years experience. We're gonna learn some stuff, Luis. We're getting schooled.
Good. I love it.
Awesome. If you can stop that poll, sharing. Rosalinda, thank you so very much.
I'm getting the pop-up chat.
Chat. So did I. I saw those.
I was like, wait a minute. Okay, it should be off. Do you see it off?
It's all
Yeah,
for
I
me.
guess I just had to exit off my own. All right.
Great, thank
Good.
you.
So, is everybody seeing my adopted son here? Does everybody see? Let's get started. My child here. So, if I had a son, it would be this kid right here. Look at how determined he is. To me, this is one of the great memes. I feel just looking at this in the morning, like, got that going. So I want to a lot of times I start my presentation, especially when it's a bigger group of audience. It's my adopted child right there. Got to give him credits. So building relationships with employers and, business outreach 101. So we will talk more just the foundational things, but in reality, like I said, I want everybody to really share. So if there's some tidbits, and we will get to some parts there, it is just interactive. So hopefully we're not asleep, because I know it's the afternoon. We get that afternoon after eating our lunch, and we have that rock in our stomach and we're ready for a nap. So we're going to make sure that we're getting you engaged. But the biggest thing out of this one right now is building relationships. That's the key to all this. Yes, businesses are great, but we're going to have to make sure that we're building those relationships, that networking part. I know we heard it on the employer panel with Sergio, and we've heard it even with Anthony right now, but that networking is so important. But to network, you have to have some, people skills, some interpersonal skills. So the first thing, what I know what I did with adult ed. So I started about 4 years ago with our consortium, and I had to kind of work with workforce services. So how do I become like a career center at the college, but for adult ed, and I'm representing 8 different, districts. It's a county office of ed, a community college, and then 6 districts, high school districts that have adult programs. And so the first thing I needed to do was really identify our stakeholders. And that's what we're going to be doing with our business community, is that we want to make sure that we understand our industry sectors that are in our region, and the ones that are prevalent in our area too. So obviously Central Valley is going to be different than the Bay Area. It's going to be different than Sacramento. It's going to be different than LA area, but really identify where you're at. We're Central Valley, so we have ag, we have, different manufacturing areas in Merced. Obviously we're retail, we're hospitality. We have all those different areas within Merced County. And that's where I'm going to want to start looking into and start building those relationships. Another thing is it has to meet your student population. So if I'm working for the college, I am looking for that student that's finishing up a fast track program, finishing up their degrees. So I'm going to have a different population. I work with adult ed. So I'm working with people that are ESL, people citizenship, GED, diploma. We're pushing post-secondary, but people that want to work right now that don't have a diploma and they need some of that work, then I'm looking obviously in a different level. I'm not looking for jobs where you need a degree. I'm looking for jobs that meet my population. So those are the things to really understand at the beginning when we're really starting to build these relationships with our businesses is, one, know what's in what industries are available, even if they're not necessarily for a population, but still know what's available, and then start targeting towards your population, of course. Other things are also finding out what industries are related through grant dollars. So in our area, obviously our workforce department has OJTs, and I know it was brought up before with OJTs, and that's on the job training. And we have those relationships, or at least our Department of Workforce has those building relationships with businesses so they can help support them, meaning that they pay 50%, in our case in Merced County, 50% of a wages. So company A can hire Johnny who's getting out of a program, and WorkNet's going to help pay 50% of those salary wages. So this way it's a benefit for the business, benefit for Johnny. It's a great thing for our work programs. But the idea is that there's some grant dollars that are attached to certain industries. So we want to start identifying those so we can kind of piggyback or at least utilize those dollars for our clients. And then which businesses are working with our local America's Job Centers? So which is our Department of Workforce? Which are the ones that you're seeing on flyers at hiring events that are always being posted, that are always out there, that are looking for employment, their positions are open. Who are those businesses? And the last one for this one is who's on your WIB, who's on your Workforce Investment Board, your chambers, your organizations, your local organizations, where your businesses meet. They network, whatever it is, if they have a lobster dinner, whatever it may be, start identifying these areas.
Exactly. So knowing about your business community, when you're going to those hiring events, look who's seeing what names and businesses are on those flyers, the hiring events, job fairs, careers, who's active in your community. Those are the ones you want to build those relationships with. And what jobs and positions are available throughout the year? Those welding positions available all year long. The ag, it's a seasonal thing. Right now in our area, ag truck drivers and tomato pickers are hiring like crazy. Those are huge industries for us. So know what's out there, what they're looking for, and they're seasonal for everything. Know what training programs available in your area, your local colleges, what's fast track programs do they have, what paid training programs are out there. what adult ROP. So know, you probably already know a lot of that. So that way you can meet your businesses. You can tell them and share that information because they don't know. They're busy running their day-to-day operations. And then these last two kind of go together. Consider joining local small business groups. We have 2 or 3 in our area that meet all different times of day. And your local communities, your community groups, the Rotary, Kiwanis, Elks. You don't necessarily have to join them. You can go present. We're working on this workforce class at Merced College, and we went to the Rotary and presented it and got some business feedback when we were looking to start that up. So you can definitely just present or go on and join and really build a relationship with them. They'll be useful resources later on.
Perfect. So the next thing is to grow your network, your community partners. So being able to like meet Autumn through community college, she's the director for our fast track programs, but also start identifying what are some other training programs in your vicinity. Because the thing is, we're all working together for the same mission. We just have different populations. So they're part of this just as much as businesses are important. It's also important to really partner with your community colleges, with your county offices, your CTE, your, programs, your anything that has to do with your, community-based organizations who are trying to connect their students into training programs and then into employment. We all play together. Well, at least we're supposed to. Sometimes we have some silos, and those are the things that we want to break, is that not having just one organization working on their own. It's like, how do we really partner? And I know with grant dollars coming from the state, that's the big thing, is leveraging our resources and working together and making sure that even when we're applying for RFPs and, requests for proposals, who is partnering together, who's working well. So yes, business, very important. And we're talking about business outreach, but we need to work together as an army in a sense to represent our local community. So really partnering with these people makes the job a lot easier. I know my first about year in adult ed and going at it alone was not easy. That's where the idea of really developing these partnerships, having these advisory groups to really get the people at the table that work with our students, because now we can go attack businesses. Now we can be a part of business outreach groups and committees and so many things as a unit. So if you do not have that in your region, or if there is one and you're just not a part of it, definitely reach out and try to figure out how you can get involved, get on their newsletters, try to figure out how do I get involved with these other partners who have the same mission and the same purpose. That's part of that engagement. And then, of course, ask your network how to promote what you do. So obviously, when we're at our community or our advisory groups, I know what Autumn's great things are doing. I know what Greg does with his population, that I get to report what I do, but we start now learning more and more, not just what's on the computer and what we see in a flyer about a program, but we can really dive in and ask questions to those and make sure that we're definitely networking and using each other as, for me, adult ed, being able to refer to a community college with our students is an awesome thing for me. I always see that as a great thing. If I'm not connecting you to the business, I'm connecting you hopefully into a training program. And just that's kind of really a big part of working together. Greg, I'm sorry. I think I cut you off there.
Oh, no, you're all good. I thought we're good.
Okay.
Are you ready for a question?
Yes. I actually don't see the questions, Autumn, so I don't want to minus the screen. So perfect.
Let me ask I believe it's Gina. Do you feel like as special ed grant programs, it can be beneficial to join these types of groups?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Gina. I used to do the same work programs as you, and I went to the small business out meetings, and I sold my program because small businesses don't have a lot of money to hire extra employees, and you got training dollars, you have subsidized training dollars, so you have quote unquote free employees for them, and your students are getting that experience. So I would definitely go and market, sell yourself. I've got this whole workforce ready to learn, eager to get new skills, build up the resume, and yes. The answer is yes, unequivocally.
100%. And I would also even add about Greg and I used to be a part of a transition community group as well for our students that were 18 to 22 in transition programs, going to day programs. And we've actually added that and made it even a bigger deal in our area, at least with diversibility hiring events. So we actually have a county-wide hiring event, and we've included our special ed department from Merced County Office of Ed to be a part of that. So, but a lot of that was just relationships that we had within the department. So now they get to represent, their student population. We get to know about the workability grants, things with Department of Rehab, with the weekend work program, potentially eligible. So the more that we know about what you do in special education, the more we can start figuring out how we can all work together. And there's some, in our area where, maybe that organization doesn't know a lot about special ed and the things that they offer. So that is just part of that network, is to really, I guess, we're the advocates for our population. We're like the agents for our students. We're there to bridge these relationships together. And that means sometimes advocating and promoting all the great things that we do.
Yeah, I know I need to stay on task, but ROP doesn't necessarily know about DOR, and you've got the DOR potentially eligible, and those kids can definitely, as they age out, can go right into those adult programs and still get DOR services. So you've got a ton of info that people just aren't aware of. So you need to share it. Absolutely. So, all right, I'll stay on task, Luis.
No, you're good. Awesome. Autumn, is there any other questions by chance to this point?
No, Victoria just chimed in that it's so true that those relationships are important. She works in a credit union industry, and she started facilitating those Credit 101 workshops at local community college in word of mouth spread. And they have various workshops and can partner. And we do those at Merced College too, Victoria. So it's a great partnership with our credit union.
Perfect.
And that's the only question so far, question and comment so far.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. So Luis is talking about marketing, networking, getting, joining groups. Networking equals marketing. So you have to be able to market yourself. Create those flyers, brochures, create a web page, free web page on Google, do your own, describes your program and your current participants. Businesses don't know about you. You need to let them know. They want to know, they just don't know, don't have the resources, don't have the time. And that's really our role, is to connect our students and clients with those businesses. So you have to promote. Next one.
All right. So
it's your specialty.
My special, which one was it? I'm sorry.
Your newsletter.
The newsletter. Oh yeah. So I created a new newsletter about a little over a year ago, or about a year ago. And the way I do my newsletter is really more for educational purposes. I want to get it into a lot of students' hands. It's not necessarily for marketing with businesses, but you can use it as that fashion. I use it to basically get resources, information, kind of like what we're talking about our webinars with CPA. That's really a lot of that information, is getting it out to our students. I've got to meet new students because that email gets from one to another, and now I'm getting contacted about a training program and what's the best thing. So being able to send this out to your close networks, which then funnel into the right people's hands. If you're creating a newsletter, even for business outreach, you can highlight your programs. You can highlight the things that you're doing, what's coming up. If you have a graduating class that is finishing up in welding, then you're going to want to probably promote those great things that you're doing. If you're having a hiring event, anything that your organization or your program is highlighting, and it doesn't have to be weekly or monthly. I know Moreno Valley has an awesome newsletter that they send out through their workforce department, maybe 2-3 times a week. Always different, lots of information. I love to just kind of read up and down of the jobs that are available, but those type of newsletters really kind of do help. Make them graphic, make them look pretty, because that's what we're all about. Visually is really seeing all those things. Let them hyperlink it to other areas, but it's just another great way of, marketing who you are, what your population is about.
I say, Luis sends his out like once a month. You don't need to do it all the time. He keeps it short. It's like a page, 2 pages maybe, super colorful. But it's great, packed tons of information, and it helps get your name out there. Like, hey, here's something coming from Luis. I know it's a bunch of, great little tidbits. I take his, I share it out to my teachers and students, and yeah, great thing. Third one, LinkedIn, connect with those in your field. You're not out there alone. It might feel like it sometimes, especially in COVID, but there's a ton of people out there. Connect on LinkedIn, start asking for assistance, just like today. So, and I'm tied in. So with social media, promote what's new in your program. Twitter, we all have our personal Twitter accounts. Luis and I are talking about creating a CTE from Merced County, like Twitter handle and Facebook page, where the college, the high schools, the different high school programs, we have 2 or 3 different high school groups here. They can all just send us what's going on, and we'll blast it out to the community, and job fairs for CTE related. Just, it's not political. We're sharing everything. So use social media, Facebook, Twitter. It's how we're all communicating these days. So I know, you got Instagram. And so photos, just learn how to use them. There's a ton of help. You can look on TikTok videos, learn how to do it if you need to.
Agreed. And I would encourage, I know it looked like we had a lot of people from the community colleges, but connect with your county offices if you haven't already, your adult schools, because we're all working. We're trying to, that's kind of where we're funneling students for the community college, getting them from adult ed or getting them from other regions. We want them to come to our programs mentality. So really is all these formalizing these partnerships if we don't have those already, but that's definitely something that's very important. I know that's how we meet a lot of different people and get connected. That's how we actually, what's funny is how we got into CPA. I won't take a little bit because I know there was a slide that Greg was going to talk about with CPA, but it's those networks is what develops and obviously opens up new doors that, you know, we look into to help promote our students. And the last couple are creating a thank you. So when you do build that relationship with a business and they do take your internships or they're hiring your people, you know, give them a thank you. There's a lot of times where people will get these thank yous. I think somebody mentioned it earlier. I think it was Christina, where she has all the thank yous for presenting. They are important. We like to share that, put those up into the wall because we're a part of that community, at least from that business perspective, or somebody even presenting here at CPA. They do go that extra mile. If I'm another person now is visiting their office, I can see that front and center in a nice little, kind of a thank you, putting it in a frame of what, of sorts. I think that's very important. That thanking them and making sure that they're acknowledged and not just cool. They hire like 3 of my people, like really acknowledge that that partnership and that things are working really well. And the last one is leveraging your contacts. So again, the bigger your networks get, it's very like LinkedIn, other than you're doing it in person. The people that Greg gets to know, fortunately, because we have a really good relationship, it helps benefit my students. There's countless times where he said, hey, they're looking for a job here because he's working with high school students, maybe doesn't fit his need, but it works with adult ed. And if I had anything where I found a business that is looking for college and looking for certain certifications that my adult schools don't provide, I'm going to contact Autumn and say, these jobs are available for those. So again, we're all working with the same goal in mind, but let's try to utilize each other so we can find the right candidate for the employer. And so those are the things, leveraging those contacts, being able to kind of meet and have these conversations and attack the business community as this entire kind of a training program kind of resource. All right.
And the best way to expand your contacts, hopefully you're all having fun, but Luis and I always throw in the infomercial here. CPA, great way to expand your contacts. Our mission statement is up here. You've seen us in action the last 2 days, but I'm going to tell you, Luis and I got, someone told us about the conference 3 years ago. I think we went down to Ventura, met Anthony, met Rosalinda, Denise, had a great time. Love the speakers. Hopefully you're loving all the speakers you're hearing. We went to the Queen Mary the next year. We got invited to join the board, and we did last 2 years ago. I don't know, time stops 2020. And we went down to Disneyland to Garden Grove. We presented for our first time. Now we're presenting again. So if you like what you've seen in the last 2 days and this mission statement kind of matches what you do, take a look, go to the website, join us. We'd love to have you. And that's the end of the infomercial.
Perfect. So now let's get into a question. I want to get some Q&A. I want to make sure that everybody is still awake. Denise, I'm looking at you right now. I'm saying, okay, she's awake. I'm just making sure. So this is a scenario. This is a question just kind of thrown out there. Maybe you're that senior, you've been around for 10 plus years, but let's try to think we're that newbie. So you are new to workforce development, and have been given a caseload to connect 30 students to an employment or an internship, right? So one of the two. Name the first 3 things you would do to make this process as efficient as possible for the student, employer, and yourself. So use the chat box, fill it up with some great ideas, but what are the 3 things that you would put in there?
All right. Give me a minute, I'll take a look. I'll read off. They're all going to be good, so I'll just read off a couple as they come in.
Sounds good. I cannot see him, Greg, so that's awesome. I don't want to
teamwork, buddy. Wonder Twin Powers activate.
Love it. Thank you.
Someone said, Melina says, collect resumes. Interview the students to find out what they're looking for. Excellent.
Pretty good. I like it. It's like trading cards. Start getting their business cards, their resumes, and be able to present it to the employers. Very good.
Shelby says, assess students' goals, experience, career, mindset, etc. Vend and prepare students for the process. And you are the man. We learned that yesterday. You're good at preparing students for the process.
Agreed.
All right. Ooh, it's coming fast now. Resumes, employee toolkits. Introduce yourself by email to local partners. Cluster majors, interests of each student's, collect resumes. Send my contacts for appropriate employers to address gaps that may be missing. Excellent. Keep it going in the chat. Luis, I say we keep moving on. Oh, they're still coming in. We could be here all day if we read them all.
Love it. Well, the good thing is that we have it saved in there so we can always scab those ideas. I would love to actually get it. Rosalinda, is it possible to get a copy of the chat? Will do.
He says yes. Thumbs up. Oh,
Thumbs up.
Absolutely.
What I may do is like
Starbucks.
literally copy all that and I'll put it as a PDF on the website. So everybody's kind of feedback is there. And this way we can all be sharing and not have to worry about, that we missed something. So let's go to the next one. Employer engagement. So that's kind of the next piece. We've talked about the identifying our stakeholders within our business community, the importance of our, partnerships with our CBOs and our institutions and all the different people that deal with workforce.
I think Denise has seen our PowerPoint. She just said make sure students know it's a job search. This is just like applying for a job. So you're going to go out and reach out to those businesses. You need to do your company research. And we got a company here named Kirby. What do? You can't tell by their name. So you need to go to their website, their social media, the company culture, check out what they do, see if they're a good match for your students and clients. And then what positions are available. Go talk to them, look online. Are they looking for your clients? Are they looking for welders? Or are they a hospitality company? Obviously, you want to know your strengths and talking points when promoting your students' clients. Go talk to your community college. Find out that the CTE fast tracks. What certificates do they leave with? Are they ready to get hired right away, or do they need to go take some tests? Find out that stuff. Those are selling points. Like, hey, my students are ready to go, walk in day one, job ready. And then on the flip side of that, what gaps or concerns may come up? It may be drug testing, maybe ex-felons. That could be an issue if that's the clientele you work with. It could be something getting hired. So you need to know, like a good lawyer, they don't ask a question until they already know the answer. So you need to know the strengths and the weaknesses going in.
Agreed. Good points. And I think a lot of those answers that I was hearing for is really identifying your students, which is very important. And actually, we did a workshop last year where we focused more on that part about that job development, but coming from the student perspective going into the business. So obviously, just like when we're applying for a job, we really need to know about that business part. So once we get to identify our students, the next thing, like Greg said, is doing that company research, knowing those things about those businesses, building that relationship. It's not just right away, I need to get an internship in here, or I need some hiring. We have to develop those relationships, hopefully way in advance. So what are they looking for in this? And there is some businesses that do want internships, do want to use those OJT dollars because they want to use it to mold their employees so they can have, somebody that's reputable and that's going to be sustainable in their job. So it's easier to invest in these training programs. So that's a great thing. Those are things that we hopefully connect to within our CTE programs, but understanding what their purpose is. Both Greg and I have been in special ed department working with kind of like what they brought up earlier with workabilities, grants and subsidy. The problem at times is you might get an employer that's just using your students as a revolving door. And is not really interested in hiring. They're looking for that free labor and then next person. And so we have to kind of learn, we're that advocate for that student. Is that relationship building the skill sets? One thing is to build those skill sets in an internship. Okay, maybe they're not hiring at this moment, but they're learning a lot of things. They're getting a lot of things on their resume. That's a big part. So that's worth doing that internship. But we've had some where some employers don't use our students. They're kind of using them for the grunt work. Because they're not really learning skills. And that was our job to kind of go in there and say, okay, this is not the relationship that we're looking for. So again, identify what their interests are, make sure that it does connect to what you're trying to do, because that's going to help, immensely. What are their hiring needs? So identifying that, are they looking into entry-level positions? Are they looking into supervisors? What is it that they're looking for? Is it a revolving door? Is it something when they hire in masses? Or is it literally a few times a year because they already have what they're looking for? So all those understandings of those positions and what is needed in those roles, like I said, I'll go back to my adult ed. I know the population I'm dealing with, so I'm not looking for certain jobs. I'm looking for some other areas where I know they can kind of increase and go up the career ladder. So maybe they start off in an entry-level position and it's something that they can grow. Maybe they continue going to school on the offsite, and work, but understanding those points for your population, but knowing those hiring needs. And what are their struggles in hiring qualified candidates? Because that's an important thing. Is it because they don't have interpersonal skills? Their time management is not great. What are the things that we can work on and that we can promise, almost in a sense, identify what those gaps are? Is it because they need more training in whatever field, they need the certification? What is it that they struggle to hire? What are those pitfalls with our students that we need to do a better job? I know in creating our class that we're doing there with Merced College, a lot of it is those soft skills. And I'm sure a lot of people would agree in working with businesses is soft skills. A lot of people will teach them when they're with us, but we need them to show up. We need them to care. We need them to want to work. Unfortunately, that motivation, we have to deal with that. It's real with our students. And that's why we do these assessments. And that's why we start to kind of vet these things out and make sure that we're preparing our students as best as that we can. And last is identify you can benefit their business and develop a new partnership. Can you create that pipeline? I think that's the awesome dream. If you can do that, if you can create a pipeline from your CTE program or from wherever your students are at, where you can constantly 1 or 2 or 3 or more, how can we create that pipeline to company A, B, and C? Makes our job a lot easier if we can kind of close that gap between the business world and our student world. Because right now it seems like there's like a huge canyon at times, but how can we get these things a little bit closer? And that's kind of the whole part of really when we're looking for these jobs is doing all this research. Us as the professionals have to do all these little pieces to make the end job a lot easier rather than, hey, just go check out Indeed. No, how can we actually create these relationships in advance? So we have people that we're just basically like popping off. Oh, go to this place. This place is looking. That's hopefully the big goal is that we have tons of these jobs waiting for our students.
I agree. That's the dream, and it's the most rewarding part about this job is when you get that done. Which leads to you got to build those relationships with the businesses. You have to get that engagement. So how do you do that? If you're new at this, start attend those hiring fairs, job fairs, career fairs, whether it's virtual or in person. I know I'm actually, and if you've done this for a while, facilitate your own job fairs. So, I've been around a little bit. My high school here, I'm actually doing the first in-person job fair in the county since COVID next month for my high school seniors and their parents. Super small, following all the CDC guidelines, but I know how to facilitate a hiring fair. I go out, talk to my businesses that I've met over time, got them to come in, and then we bring the students in. So then the second part is develop or join the business outreach team, so other workforce professionals. This can be virtual too. So like for us, we in our area, it's called Coffee with the Employer, where it's online and we get a business is hiring. It's kind of like an online hiring event for just one business, or maybe it's an industry, it's transportation. We get 2 or 3 transportation companies to come and just talk about the industry. And it's for us professionals to learn more about it. So we can take that info, bring it back to our students, help them get into that industry. Or, we send our kids to the hiring events, these virtual hiring events. It's really important. You just need to build, go to the job fairs, make those connections, hand out every business card you can, collect those business cards, start filling in that Rolodex, and just build those relationships. It's a dating game, and eventually get the good ones. And it's okay to be a player when it comes to business stuff.
Be very social. And
some will ghost you, right? Some will ghost you, but that's okay too.
You know what, Rosalind? I keep going back. And especially right now, summer, like we'd love to, but it's COVID and, corporate won't let us go out in person yet. It's like, not a problem. I'm glad you're interested. I promise you I'll be back next year. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I agree right there. We put the attend and facilitate. So if you're that new 1 to 2 year, where you're just kind of starting to build your Rolodex in a sense, and you're attending these, once you get a little bit more comfortable, then heck, that's the next fun part is really facilitating. And maybe it's not just yourself. I know Greg for the high school did it pretty much with, partnered with our Department of Workforce, but he's doing a lot of the legwork. But I mean, that's the next fun part is really, like we talked about, developing these relationships. So you're not doing these hiring events with others. We did a diversibility hiring event that we've done now for 4 years, but it's been partnerships with other people that it's a countywide one. We do it at our fairgrounds, a big event. We bus in about 200 to 300 students. This year was in a virtual platform, so that was even fun to do it. But the idea of just kind of having these dialogues with our partners, getting businesses bought in, knowing that, hey, we're trying to represent people with disabilities. And that's what this event is about. People that have a diverse background, people that are reentry, and along veterans and so many others. And so a lot of businesses want to attach themselves to that. They want to, or Starbucks is, we just worked with in a virtual event. They want to be a part of this. Anytime we say diversibility, I mean, it's like they want to be a part of it. So find that niche within your community and how you can really build those relationships, because you will have businesses that want to join for those purposes as well. So other thing is to highlight your industries and your business to your committees and to your program. So have guest speakers, start promoting these things. Like Greg mentioned, we have a business outreach team that we get, people from industry to come talk to us as educators, as professionals. And that's how we're networking and building these relationships. This is how we can kind of start talking about our programs subtly and say, hey, we have a training program that does that. We'd love to touch base offline to be able to kind of facilitate some of your hiring needs. But we have the platform of just doing the industry, quote unquote, presentations. We get them in to talk about their industry and their companies. And then we slowly start building those relationships over a couple of sessions. So do that. The biggest thing is not just, obviously our role is to represent our community college, our county office of ed and our students. But there's also that relationship that you are going to start promoting their businesses and their opportunities and their companies. Recently, it's been with me. I've been on a kick of Starbucks because the lady that I'm working with, super energetic about her company and all the incentives that they have. And so now I'm kind of name dropping some of these things in with our students and saying, hey, you want to start in a career? This is what Starbucks has to offer. And she knows that I kind of do those name drops and I promote them and we're building that relationship. Why? Because I'm promoting their business. I'm promoting their opportunities, which is going to help me out in the future when I want them to be a part of something. Hey, come speak to our committee, come speak to our students. We're building that relationship, between this company A, happen to be Starbucks in this case, but multiple companies that we worked with. Target was another one that we worked with recently to get a part of our employer panel. We scabbed the idea of our employer panel from CPA, and we've actually added it into our hiring event with Diversibility, and we get employers to come in and be a part of our employer panel, get them a lot of cool free stuff, have those interactions, tell them about our students, that's who's in the audience, and we build that relationship for our students and our different partners. And the last one is our social media. It's another way of showcasing a person. So if you really want to meet a company and you really don't have that network with them yet, hopefully you've reached out through LinkedIn or reached out somehow to HR. But if you don't, find out who that person is and say, I want to highlight you to our program. We work in welding. I'd love to highlight, Laird Manufacturing in our area. Love to talk about your business. Can I showcase you guys? Can I really talk about you guys in a social media? We'd love to promote your businesses. Come at it from that way where it's really promoting them. Then they get to know about, oh, you're Merced College and you guys have a great, that's awesome. We want to work with you. So these little things that you can start embedding and working closely, but use that social media platform, video, do whatever it is, have them show up now and virtually through Zoom, have a meeting. We've had many of those through where people get on through Zoom, they talk about their program, we get to record it and then we have it, for posterity down the road with that business. But start building those relationships, build that rapport with these companies.
Absolutely. All right, like Anthony here, got a little exercises, a little finger stretching, folks. Next slide. We need you to loosen up those fingers. Time to fire up that chat again.
Yep.
Tips. What are some other successful tips that your experienced professional, have used for business engagement? Time to educate Luis and I. New school, old school.
Unfortunately, Greg, I can't read the chat. I don't want to minus it. So if you can.
I got your back.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And cold calling. Yes, I love the cold call. It takes a certain skill to walk in, to have the bravery to walk in and cold call, but I love doing it. It's the reward when you walk out that new business. Great. Invite them to advisory councils. All right, thank you, Donnie. Victoria, health fair benefit fairs at companies. That's a good one. We never thought about health fairs.
Good.
We could reach out to our local Dignity Health Hospital here, and I know they have a health fair coming up on a Saturday.
Well, I was even thinking of that cold call I was going to mention, like that's what we had to do. We had we did a business outreach survey where we're trying to get a lot of information and nobody was checking their emails. We were sending it via email, getting no responses. And so a lot of us just started going and, going to the actual stores, talking to the managers and saying, hey, on an iPad, can you help us fill out this survey? But it kind of reminded me that that's what we needed to do is we needed to kind of hit the road and just to get this information. And once you meet with them, we went obviously at certain times, so we knew it was a little bit dead for some of these businesses. They want to talk to you, if they can. It's a lot easier when you're already in their face. They're not going to tell you no. So I don't know. That's what I was thinking about the cold call.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to get out of the office. Oh, someone had a good one here. where, oh, it's flying by. Inviting employers to be on the employer panel in the classroom virtual workshops. So I met Sergio, through CPA, and one of my classes is a, social marketing class, and marketing classes. I do ROP, and I'm like, hey, teacher, I know someone that is marketing for Disney. How do you like him to come in and talk to your class? And the teacher's like, what? Small little Merced town, and we can get someone from Disney, or we can get someone from Google. Those are big name draws, which you could never do before, Zoom and, COVID gave us all these tools. So take advantage of it. Yeah, a lot of people bringing students to employer sites. Ooh, I give employers a random of kindness coin when they hire a student or help students. I'd love to know more about the random of kindness coin. We've talked about doing little decals, a vinyl cling they can put up in a window, like, hey, I'm part of this group, or I hire these students. Yep, visiting a business in person, making employers feel welcome on campus, personalized signage when they arrive, welcome, and then their name. That's a good one, Shelby. Making it personal is always good.
Hey, that person who put the token, who is that? And can they unmute themselves to kind of talk a little bit about it?
That's actually John Silver.
It's John Silver. John, can you unmute yourself, sir, and explain a little bit about that?
Sure. I think Denise could probably do a better job than I. Remember, there was a random act of kindness movement.
Right. Chuck Wall from Bakersfield College started.
That's right. Wonderful, wonderful guy. I was working at the Braille Institute at the time, and also at ITT. And he has a random act of kindness coin, which says, thank you for your random act of kindness. So when they either helped my students or hired my students, I would explain what the random act of kindness coin is, and they could keep it or pass it on to somebody else who does a random act of kindness. And it is a beautiful, in my opinion, it is a beautiful token to give somebody, an employer or anybody else that that's done a random act of kindness. And it's a coin that could stay with you, or it can go further depending on, what happens. But it was very, very much appreciated when I give them the coin as well, say, thank you very much for your act of kindness in hiring my student, especially when they're hiring blind students or people with disabilities. Is that right, Denise?
That's right, John.
Love that. That's very cool. I like that.
I just saw this.
Yeah, I can get you the information. I'll put it in the chat where you can get the coins.
Perfect.
Thank you, Denise. Can I share something, Greg and
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
One thing that works well, and I gotta say, be careful because you'll open up the floodgates and it'll get bombarded, but I think it's easy and effective. LinkedIn. One of the things that I do is I will share sometimes when students are hired with a company, and I showcase it. And then I also, aside from saying that they're hired, I'll also say, if you're in the industry and you want to hire some of our students, or you want to be part of this, connect with me on LinkedIn. When I'm doing job fairs or Zoom sessions, I'll post those also. And I just get I get more companies sometimes than I can handle, but it's fantastic. It's a great way to network. It's powerful. And how easy is that, right? So, you guys joke about the pictures, but it is the power of influence that has, when you show your success stories, companies want to get involved. They want to engage. It's exactly what you, Luis and Greg, have been sharing with us. So thank you for that.
Yes, we joke with you, Linda, but I agree. All the photos that you take are awesome memories. We were talking about it yesterday as well, like documenting these moments and being able to share with businesses so they can see all the successes and all those connections. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm on LinkedIn. I have LinkedIn. I'm on it. I'm not active. I think next year, Rosalinda, like, it's not just me. I think you just need to do a presentation on like how to best use LinkedIn. So here's one, Luis, from Sarah. I love this idea. I'm sharing with employers how sending their top talent back into the schools to teach and help create a cycle of success. Man, if you could get like, a welding company or your ag mechanic company to send one of their guys in to talk, like, here's what day in the life of this, what it's really like. It's marketing for that business. Kids go, dude, that sounds like a great place to work. It's super, educational, because what's in the classroom is not always what it's like in real life. I love that idea, Sarah. Thank you.
I agree. I think so. A couple of things on that one. I know Mary, our coordinator for CTE, one of her instructors for manufacturing, I think, is at a Save Mart. He works at Save Mart during the day and then teaches, on Wednesday nights from like 6 to 9 or something. And what he uses it for, it's kind of funny. He basically uses it to pick talent. So he has this class that he's teaching But of course, in the background, he's looking for his top 2 or 3 candidates from that class, and he's like poaching them over, which I always thought was like genius to get, to be your own CTE teacher. And that's where you're picking from, is this class. And the other one, Greg, is that article that you sent me. It had to do with the airlines.
United Airlines.
Yeah. You want to talk about that one real quick?
So United Airlines, they need to hire a ton of new pilots, and they want to have a diverse pilot pool. So they actually created their own flight school. There's lots of them out there. There's actually one at Castle Air Force Base, right, where Luis and I work, but they created their own flight school to train their own pilots. So, and then they know exactly how to fly those United jets, and they've got that whole pool right there, access to them. And I shared the idea with Luis and our small cohort of our group. I'm like, this is what we need to be presenting to our businesses out here. Like, hey,
Hey,
we
sorry
are
about that.
we are
I
your
was
flight
reading
school.
My computer, and I
So,
didn't see my phone ringing. It's on silent.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank
Somebody
you.
on there.
Yeah.
I heard somebody.
Yeah. So, that's kind of the thing. We are that pool of future employers. So, we train them, and let's train them exactly kind of how the businesses want them and get them out there. So, but yeah, if they can then come back and talk to the classes, I love that idea.
Well, and I love just thinking outside the box. So it's not just the traditional. I think we've gone over a lot of different tips and ideas, but it's even thinking out of the box and connecting with businesses to see how we can get them involved to be into education. So I love, Sarah's idea. I know at least that guy does it for CTE with Mary's program, and with the pilot school and getting that going. So maybe in your community, those are things that, at certain levels, we can get that pitch to the right people to say, how is this and how can we create that? Because like I said, I think that's the golden goose, is really creating those pipelines. So it makes it a lot easier rather than us just kind of going at job to job, is building those relationships. They know that you're training great candidates. So we want to work with your program. We want to work with your school. And that's kind of the biggest thing that we're trying to do. And obviously every region and community is different. I had to get used to mine and where we're at. And I joke sometimes Merced County, we're maybe, a couple of years behind LA and all the great partnerships and things that are done in LA. And so that's why we love networking, even at the state level, and how we got involved with CPA, because it helps bring these ideas from your different regions back to the Valley and being able to do something that's really good for our, Merced's residents. So any other things from Greg? I'm sorry, because I can't see the chat.
Oh, no, I want to say, Denise put in the link for those kindness coins that they were talking about before. So if you're interested in that. So, and then we're doing good. Yeah, I think, Luis, you want to have a little fun. So Luis, we can actually do, there's a couple extra raffle prizes. You want to do it now or do it in a minute or two?
Sounds good. Why don't we do it after this one, and then we can wrap up, and then we'll do it that.
Oh, awesome. So we're curious, we Luis and I obviously learned some stuff today. Curious, what did you learn today? Maybe it's something Luis and I didn't say directly. You saw something new in the chat. So you can unmute yourselves. Sorry, or type in the chat. What's one thing you learned today? Someone said try to join more meetings, commerce advisory, etc. I agree, Shelby. We don't want to sit in meetings all day, and sometimes it feels like it, especially on Zoom. It's horrible, but it's definitely worth while. Find the right groups though. If it's not worth your time, it's just time to kill suck, just get out of there. So
I agree. I agree to that one. It's identifying. Sometimes you have to go through a few meetings before you network and figure out like, okay, maybe this isn't for me, or this is not, just like anything. But agreed, Greg.
Yeah. And even if it's not the right group for you, still got yourself out there. They're gonna remember, hey, who's that guy that used to come from, Merced County, the business things. Let's look. So, and hopefully they got your business cards. They still there. Kindness coins. People love that idea. Learn better networking skills. Getting more involved, but in the right groups to build employer relations. And they also love the token ideas. Create relationships, networking. Excellent.
Perfect. So I think it's pretty close to like the new strategies. I think you were reading a little bit of both, like learning and different tips and strategies. So so I'll read the last one. Name one way to increase your network and or establish new relationships or new partnerships. Like a little bit more, like, are you going to reach out to company A, and this is the first thing you're going to do with company A? What is somewhere that you've loved to connect with, just haven't been able to, but what is something that you're going to do to at least increase your chances of developing that relationship?
So Donnie, we reminded him how important relationships with businesses are to college, government, and other businesses. Laura, you learned the same thing I did. Be proactive on LinkedIn. Definitely. Someone else increase my activity on LinkedIn. Rosalinda, you're nominating you for the LinkedIn presentation next year.
I agree. We did not have that this year because I know we've had it in the past. There's
But we
always
did have
something.
LinkedIn Learning.
Yeah, we
That-
LinkedIn
that is
Learning.
true. That is true. We did the LinkedIn Learning,
And we've always had LinkedIn kind of like how they're doing like strat, but we've never had like social marketing aspect of LinkedIn. It's always been the business side of it.
All right. Definitely I'll do that maybe for a webinar or a presentation. Maybe
Very
at the
good.
regional.
Love that. Good
Add
idea.
it to the notes. All right. Awesome. So we
Perfect.
got
So
about
you wanna
5
get-
minutes left here, so we can kind of wrap it up, Luis. And we got a raffle prize. Hey, what's that on the bottom, Luis?
That looks like our new logo that I definitely love. That has grown on me just pretty much from when we started putting these pieces together with our committee of going over it. So yes, I love the fuchsia, Rosalinda. I love that color. I love that axe. I don't know if anybody's taken a look at it. It's actually the dude, the hard hat in either construction or manufacturing of some sort, but he's in that color, which I think was really unique and different. And then we have what appears to be a female in the blue one. So we wanted to kind of subtly put those things in there, kind of keep our purple with our traditional, CPA original purple as those colors of CPA. And like Rosalinda said before, kind of like that holding hand. We wanted that golden color from Poppy in California. So yes, that's our hope to be soon logo. I love it. It says what we're about. Greg, if anybody has questions for us, how can they get a hold of us?
Our email right here. So yeah, we both work for MCOE. Shoot us an email. We'd love to help. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not on there all the time, but you send me a message, send me a request. We'll love to get you there. Facebook, it's more my personal social, but yeah, LinkedIn, the business side. If you want to get a hold of Luis, he is on Twitter, and he's got a great website full of information. I send everybody to it. He covers from assessments to resumes to interviews. It's like the one-stop shop, and he'd be more than happy to share that link with you later.